Y'all ready? Appreciate you being here. Better to be 2-0 than 1-1. Didn't play our best last week, but glad to get the win. All things considered, have a tremendous challenge this week. Really good opponent, talented team, all across the board, all different areas. A handful to get prepared for. We got our work cut out for us. I'm excited to be able to play back at home. Night game should be fun environment, but we got a lot of work to do. This is a really good opponent. So with that, we'll open it up.
You started the scout period using Caden Simonza and Donovan Leary with that. Was that just to kind of get some better throws out there?
Yeah, so we changed the format of practice that period the last 2 weeks because the two offenses we played were more similar in nature to ours. We did more good on good there. Every Tuesday we do a ones versus ones team run for 4 plays, twos versus twos. And then we do the offensive emphasis typically if it's a similar-ish opponent where our one offense will in nature go against our 1 and 2 defense. We'll kind of rotate guys in, but you'll see like starters out there on both sides. And then the 2 offense or maybe some of the 1s and the 2s then serve the defense for a few plays. Today, because their offensive schematics are enough different, we felt like it was best to just give the best available look with like trading high backups, like really good players that are maybe not just scout team players in that period, but make it like a scout team type of period. So it was to try to get a few more reps of that period without maybe having to just go against each other the whole time. But it was our 2-0 line. Some of them were down there. Our 2D line was down the other end. So it was just trying to get the best available look from an actual physicality standpoint, or maybe throw or whatever. Jay Beeman, the young quarterback down there, he throws it pretty good. So, but just to get maybe a little bit more experienced guys.
You can't talk about this matchup without talking about the return of Darian Mensah. Is it easier to prepare for a guy that you know, like his strengths, his weaknesses, and all that he can bring to the table?
Yeah, I think there's familiarity on both sides, right? Like we know Darian well. He knows us pretty well too. He's gone against this defense plenty in practice, so there's a lot of familiarity. It's a unique matchup. I think what makes it unique is this type of thing happens all the time in pro football, right? College is probably a little bit newer with the era we're in, but I love Darian to death. I've said this publicly, like, if you play 1 snap, 100 snaps, 1,000 snaps for me, I'll love you for the rest of my life. Like, care about him, wish him well. Saw him this summer. I got nothing but love for Darian. It is unique playing a guy that you've had on your team a year ago. But when you turn the tape on, it's not just, hey, a former player of ours. I'm looking at this receiving crew, like number 7, and I'm watching 7, 2, 1, and 18. This 18 kid from Harvard is a headache. Like, and their backs are good, and the O-line works well together, and they're big, and it's by far our most challenging opponent. It's not even close. And then their D-line, this number 7 they got on defense, both 7s for them on offense and on defense. This edge player they got, he's an elite player. So there would be a lot of note made of Darian's return, et cetera, but it's Tulane versus Duke. It's not Tulane versus one player. And they got a lot of good players all over the field.
Nothing illustrates your point about more games are lost than won early in the season than what happened to Duke on Saturday. I mean, they outgained Illinois. They just turned it over 5 times, had a key penalty on special teams, stuff like that. I think you've only turned it over. You've had the one key fumble, but but that's it. How, despite some of the stuff that hadn't gone well, how happy are you with the ball security so far this year?
Yeah, I like not turning the football over for sure. I didn't like the one we had Saturday. The most impressive thing on the one we had Saturday was Jake Hollyfield's effort to go make the tackle. That was the corner that recovered it, and Jake ran his tail off. Our starting center ran down a corner with not some really good angle to go get him. But when you protect the football, it gives you an opportunity to win. Looking at their game last week, if you did, you could take out 2 or 3 plays of the game on the tape, and you'd be like, all right, they probably won by 2 touchdowns. Like, really, the flow of the game, in particular the first half, the line of scrimmage, they won decisively. And really, I would say the game felt like it really turned for them on 2 plays that were special teams plays. It was the penalty, like you said, the jersey infraction deal, and then the muffed punt they had. Those were the 2 plays that kind of were like, if those 2 plays don't happen, I'm guessing they probably win the game, or it's a 1-score game at the final drive. And so they're a really good football team. We got our work cut out for us. It's going to be a challenge.
Mensah's thrown for over 700 yards through 2 games. You know about his passing talent. But
Yeah.
what and you mentioned their receivers, but what are they doing so effectively right now?
Well, they take a lot of vertical shots. They stretch you out down the field, but then they run it off of some stuff too that gives you issues. They throw some line of scrimmage screens that maybe challenge you. I think Darian throws the ball down the field with great accuracy and touch and anticipation. He was the same way here last year. I'd say, if anything, you can tell he's a year stronger, a year more mature. Like when we got here and he was a true freshman, he looked like a young guy because he was a young guy. And then, going into last season, he was a little bit stronger. Going into this season, he's a little bit stronger. And so I'd say he's able to drive the ball down the field a little bit better. And he's making all the throws well. He's making, a sail throw that's an out-breaking route throw really well. He's throwing the ball well on the move. He's doing a lot of good things, and their pass game's good. And they got really good receivers too. I mean, these receivers are the best group of receivers we've played in my time here. Like this, I'm telling you, 18's a really good player. 7's a phenomenal player. 1, the catch he made before halftime in the back of the end zone last week was an elite catch. He's a Michigan, Oklahoma transfer. And then number 2 for them at receivers, also a phenomenal. They got a lot of good pass catching guys, and so it's a handful for sure.
I mean, you mentioned that one of your toughest opponents so far, obviously, of the season, but night game on ESPN2, big stage. How do you not let the lights get too bright for your team, but also what do you expect kind of the environment to be on Saturday?
Well, we need the crowd to be in our favor, obviously. We need to create a home field advantage. It needs to be a raucous environment. It should be. I mean, every time you only get 6 home games this year. Like, we're down 1 already, so we got not many left. And so we need the stadium to be electric. I think our players will be excited, and I'm really so focused on our players just doing their job better than last week. I think week 1 we did our job really well, and we were pretty energetic. Week 2, I don't think it was a lapse of maybe energy. I think we just didn't focus on the details of our job very well. And then I think we got to hone back in on there shouldn't be a whole lot to be said about, like, hey, you're playing an ACC team that's, I think, won 9 games twice in the last 3 years now. Like, that, it's a really good team. And so we should be emotionally ready. We just have to play good, clean football again. And if we do that, we'll give ourselves the best chance to have success as we can.
To that point, do you have to guard against maybe being too amped, especially with some of the guys obviously being teammates with Darian last year and kind of knowing too, what the talk maybe is on campus?
I mean, that's out there, right? Like, it's going to be public, and people on campus are going to talk about it. People around town are going to talk about it. I think you want guys amped up for every game. The thing is you have to focus on doing your job really well. And so you don't win a game just off of emotion. Now, this is an emotional game. You have to play it with passion and energy and enthusiasm to play it the right way. But you can also go too far the other direction and get maybe a little bit off, and play in a manner that's not characteristic of being focused on doing your job the right way. And so there's an element to that we got to make sure, I don't need to be up in front of the team giving a whole lot of rah-rah speeches this week. If I do, or really any week anymore, I mean, it's Division I football. These guys got to go play. And so I'm excited for our guys to maybe go play a better game than last week. That's the emphasis for me is with them is like, how do we get better? It's really not so much who the opponent is as much as, like, let's just play better football than we played last week.
You mentioned it a little bit, but when looking at Duke's defense, what stands out the most to you?
Well, their defensive line is hellacious. Like, this front, Seven's a phenomenal player. He's a great pass rusher. I think he had 3 sacks last week. This number 4 is a twitchy, violent inside player. I mean, all their front guys, like, you just turn the tape on their front, you just feel them. They're just athletic and physical, and then they're really aggressive on defense, and they're very sound at the same time. So they take calculated risks. They give you some 6-up, 7-up type pictures where they're going to crowd the line of scrimmage with people on the line, and they're going to bring it some. They're going to drop it some. I think they really rally and tackle the ball carrier well. I think the thing that was most impressive on film watching last week was how they controlled the line of scrimmage most of that game. The defensive front really, until they got put in some bad situations, maybe by field position, et cetera, I thought that their opponent had a really, and they were playing a really good team, had a hard time at the line of scrimmage versus them, which that was an impressive showing by their group for sure.
I know you kind of talked about the turnovers that they gave up last week, but with the way your defense has been playing, how can you guys kind of capitalize on that in this week?
Yeah, we got to get the ball. We got to find a way to be in the positive on the turnover margin every week. In this game, if we're not in the positive on the turnover margin, we won't win it. We have very little chance of winning this game without being positive in that area. So it's critical. And I'd say as much on defense, too, against this bunch is not giving up explosive plays. We can't – we had the one last week on the second touchdown where we just kind of maybe got a little off in coverage and weren't quite where we needed to be and got a little off balance and gave up a long touchdown pass. We can't give those up. And so we gotta make it where the other team has to earn it a little bit more. But we got to play better on defense for sure.
Kind of going off that, how confident are you that you guys are going to be able to fix any defensive mistakes from Saturday?
We're working on it. I'm confident we're working on it. It's got to get better. We did so many things that we didn't do on week one. We didn't tackle great. We tried to shoulder tackles, not wrap our arms too often for my liking. We didn't use our hands taking on blocks. We didn't leverage the football properly. We didn't stay on top in coverage when we were supposed to be on top. It was just a bunch of unforced errors. So, the other team last week, this week, every week, they're good enough to beat you with you doing the things the right way. This team we're getting ready to play has enough good players. We can play really good football and still lose on a play. What you can't do is just play really bad football and give them a play. They got good players. They're going to make plays. We got to make them earn the plays they get, though, not give them to them. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you all.